everyone. Welcome to workshop number 2. So I hope a lot of you watched the workshop yesterday. If you weren't able to watch it then, there were reruns, and I saw that there was a couple of problems with buffering and the connection. So now I'm trying to connect through my mobile data, and hopefully this will be better. So last time we talked about the fact that it's more than possible for us INFJs to live that epic life, to get excited about the new day and about everything that we do. Hi, Alan. And I want it to be so engraved in you guys, because if we don't believe that this is possible, we're not going to take the steps. So, okay. Yeah. Guys, be nice. We try and we're being serious here, and we want to get stuff done. Okay. I just have to carry it. Okay. So this was yesterday, and today I want to go a step further. I want to talk to you about the tools, because we as INFJs have very particular challenges. Hi, Linda. We have very particular challenges, and therefore we have to approach it in a very particular way. So the main problem that all of us have, and this is not the first thing that I'm going to tell you, this is not something that is just INFJ related. It's people in general. People don't set goals, and they don't set them on goals that they want. But most of the people, they're oblivious to that is a problem. They cruise through life, and you probably as an INFJ see them and feel like, oh, I see that they're miserable. I see that they're suffering, but they themselves don't see it, right? I mean, how many of you have known this, right? I mean, you can give me a thumbs up if you've seen and been in situations like this. But that's the thing. They don't want to change anything actively. Just because deep down they're miserable, it's still their life, and it's still their prerogative how they're going to approach it. But you, on the other hand, you know very well that something is wrong. That's the whole thing. That's what makes it in this so weird state for us INFJs, that we know something is wrong and we still don't know what to do. We still don't know how to get out. And that's why I've been working on the concept that I'm working on. And there's a lot I just want to share with you today, so you can take it with you and you can start creating that life for yourself, right? So knowing, first off, as I said, setting goals. So, but what kind of goals do we want to set? Here comes the problem with INFJs. First off, we're not aware of our own preferences. How many of you have been in situations where you're with friends and you're going to the movies, and then it's what movie do you want to watch? And most of us are I don't care what you want to watch. And I use this example so often because it applies to absolutely everything. And this is not just one person. This is based on the fact that our intuition is so big, that we have a strong feeling side to us. So we absorb so much of what other people want. So we're not even aware of what we want. That is one of the biggest things. So how can you set goals if you don't know what you want? Right? Because if I would say, okay, let's do the typical goals that everybody talks about. I'm going to get fit. I'm going to get a better job, and I'm going to make more money and go on vacation. Yeah. Those things most of the time don't motivate us enough, because we feel, I'm going to feel the same way. I'm going to be stuck in that box. But the reason why we feel that is because, first off, we don't really know what we want, so we need to figure that out. And second of all, we have problems with the pulling through part of it, right? SE is our weakest function, and SE is the thing that is necessary in order to make it happen. Hi guys, I see you all. SE is necessary to make it happen. So most of us feel okay, I can't go in that direction, because at some point I'm going to stop. What for? It's not going to make me feel any better. So those are the 3 things we have to find an outlet, we have to find a solution for. And with me, I've done so much trial and error and figured out how to approach it specifically for INFJs. And in the end, the excitement about life comes from the fact that, first off, you figure out where you want to go. And this doesn't happen by you just sitting down and then you think of something. It's a preference muscle. We have to be, train that muscle. So we have to be in situations I'm just going to take the movie example. Of course, this is not the important thing in life, but we're going to get to that. When you're at the movies and your friend asks you what you want to watch, and you're I really don't give a fuck. I'm sorry about my language. I really don't care. I really don't care. Then it would be to say, well, if you had to choose, what would it be? because that's how we develop our preference muscle. We have to become more and more aware of what we actually want. And as long as we always say, whatever you want to do, you will not be able to start focusing on what you want, because your higher self knows exactly what it wants. And the more you practice this, you realize, okay, I've been wanting this all my life. This is not something I started wanting now. I just was completely oblivious to it. So that's the first thing. Then setting goals that are, SMART goals, how we call them also in the bootcamp. So specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and time bound. You need to have goals that are like in alignment with where you want to go. And a lot has to do with also finding your purpose in that. Like, you're not going to be like, okay, I know my purpose right away. Like one of the things we talk about in the bootcamp, for example, is vocation. And we're going to talk more about it in, I think maybe not next one, but the latest on the workshop on Saturday. So you can directly pick up also stuff from like the workshops, because this is my goal, right? This is not like just a promotion for the bootcamp. I want to give you stuff that you can start applying now, right? So the bootcamp is like the icing on the cake. If you want to have like the extra help, if you want to have the extra accountability, like we do things like on a very deep level, but that doesn't mean that you can't start like fighting for yourself right now. So, okay, goals. We're going to talk about how to figure those out. And like you have to know your preferences so you can set those goals. And then the SE part, right? The SE part is the most interesting part. This is, I think, the biggest misconception. People think, and a lot of INFJs think, you need willpower for it. And specifically because a lot of us are slow learners, or we don't make so much progress as other people do in the physical realm. Like that's one of the main things for INFJs. We have this great vision, but when it comes to how much you actually get done every day, it doesn't seem so much. It's not like, physically, we're not that productive as, let's say, in ESTP. But here comes the interesting part. Once you figure out, those are actually my goals. Those are the things that are really important to me. So I'm talking about important, not urgent. Like you've heard me talk about it. It has a lot to do with priority management bootcamp. That's like saying, okay, if I want to be an actress, right? And this is like my passion and I want to do this, then when comes Saturday, I will learn my lines, or I will write and I will go on auditions. I will not first off do laundry, because laundry in some kind of way is urgent, but it's not important. But the same thing is like, if you write on your book, if you work on your music, if you like apply to other jobs, nobody's going to care. There's no external accountability for it. I mean, you will have you have groups, and we'll talk a little bit later how important accountability is and how much it helps you. But mainly, you have to be the one who makes those decisions. You have to be the one who says, although nobody will see that I'm doing this or I'm not doing this, I'm doing this because of me. And the fulfillment in our life comes from having that vision in our mind, building those goals and working towards them. So we're bringing our vision to life, and we see that we can make it happen, because every single time you train that muscle, you recognize that you're growing, and you're growing in a direction that you want. And we talked about last time how important it is to do those steps, because we as human beings, we crave growth. So the one thing that will always make you feel fulfilled is if you keep on growing. But in a lot of cases, we don't want to grow if we're on the wrong mountain, I call it very often. So if we're going in a wrong direction and we don't see what the right direction is, why in the world would I want to climb over here when I know this is going, it's not going where I want to go, right? So we stay stuck. And then like the numbness comes in. Then like this whole thing of, okay, why should I even move? And now during quarantine, I mean, you've seen it. You've seen it, like how easy it is to just fall back into, I do the bare minimum. I do that what other people can see. So if I'm supposed to like log in somewhere at some time, I'm going to do that. But am I really doing the things that are important for me? That's like a different question. So we'll continue, but different than yesterday. I want to take on some questions starting like in the beginning, so it's not all in the end. So let me just like pick up and see what you're writing, and then we continue. Okay. William says, I'm impulsive with small goals. It gets urgent. It gets urgent out of the blue. This is not normal, or is it? It's not about, is it normal? It's probably not the most productive way to do things, right? Like we will talk about how to work this. Most of the time, if something gets urgent, it's because we have neglected it for so long. Like we know it's actually important to us, but we think, I can take it longer. Like I can stick this out longer. And this is also one of like the typical INFJ things. We're so addicted to see like how longer we can mentally strain ourselves. I've seen it with like really strong extroverted sensing types. For them, it's like I have to prove to myself how much longer I can take physical strain. So staying up, being in like physical stressful situations. For us, it's like this negative addiction to how long can I stay in this like state of barely doing anything or having no stimulation or whatever it is until like I have to go. But the good thing is we can change that. Like we as INFJs, like we take like such pride in that aspect when we don't have to. We can also change that aspect of ourselves. And that does not mean that we deny who we are. It doesn't mean that we are not, like we say, okay, I try to be somebody else. No, like you stay who you are. You just utilize it to the best of your ability. Like you change the way you approach it. Like this is possible. Like we don't have to be this way. So if you say, I'm somebody who has like small goals and they like urgently have to do them. Okay, that's how it is now. But how is it going to be once we figure out what are really your preferences? Let's talk about it. Let's have it written down. How many of you have actually written down, that's where I want to be with my health in a year. That's where I want to be with my vocation, so my purpose in life. Like these are the things that make me really written that down. Where do I want to be financially? Where do I want to be with my relationships? So with my parents, with my friends, what kind of boundaries I want to set. If you don't set those goals, your mind will not be able to stay on track with that. Our mind, the way it's focused, it's always going to get into fear mode because that's how, like, back in the day, that's how we wanted to survive. That's how we survived. We were looking for dangers. But nowadays, this is keeping us from, like, if we don't actively have positive anchors in our life, we always go back on default mode. And default mode is, what are the people doing around us? What is media showing us? And so on. So if you don't take responsibility for this and you don't take power over that situation, your environment does that for you. And it's never what you want. But it's not as hard as it sounds, right? Because like I always say, like willpower is not the solution. Willpower will only get you this far. Maybe some of us have a little bit more willpower. So like maybe somebody can like stick it through for a couple of weeks, but then it falls off. Like willpower is not the thing that's going to get you in the long run. It has to become part of your identity. And in order to be like things to become part of who you are, they have to be included into your life slowly, right? So it's about like building those deep patterns and deep like behavioral and like habits that really change your life and help you to, like, first off, never being overwhelmed, because that's how you create that excitement. Like I think we all want that. We want to feel alive. We want to feel like our worldview matters. We make a difference. We change, we change reality somehow. We contribute. And so like, that's the way to do it. I'm trying to give, like, in a very INFJ manner, give you, of course, the overall picture. We'll go more into detail, but if we don't like get what it's all about, it's going to be a little bit difficult. So let me get back to your questions. Okay. Yeah, Musa says a to-do list is a great for driving SE to action. Totally. I do to-do lists, but to-do lists are great. Like they're always great, but like the more you combine it with doing things that are really important to your life, not okay, I have to do laundry, I have to tidy up, I have to help my friend with this, but more like, okay, where do I long-term want to be? If you want to have, let's say, a YouTube channel, it's more like, okay, this week I'm going to record a video. Next week I'm going to edit it. The next week, no matter how hard it is for me, I'm going to upload it, because all of this, all the things that we do, it's never like a thing of I don't have enough time. It's always a point of energy. And if our energy is focused on keeping us where we're at right now, like moving us towards where we want to be, it's hard. It is hard. And so we got to be very, very deliberate how we take those steps. And like the people who work with me in the boot camp, as well as like, when we do one-on-one coaching, it's always the surprise in the beginning. Oh, when's this? Like, why are you not giving us like more tasks? Why is it all this? But then like after 1 or 2 sessions, everybody's saying, yeah, I see the difference now. Because like brushing your teeth has become part of who you are. It's not something that overwhelms you, right? You just do it. Going to bed like doesn't overwhelm you. Like, there's certain things we do that are probably not even like, okay, going to sleep, we all have to do it somehow, but brushing your teeth is not something which you actually have to do. And we still do it, right? So it doesn't bother us. It's not like some like huge task. And the way we approach it is to become somebody who does on a continual basis those most important things that make you move forward. So it becomes part of your identity. You don't feel like you're working. You don't feel like you have willpower. And at the same time, like it's like you get more and more in flow, because the more you get into the position of where you want to be, your true nature comes out. And that way everything gets easier, because you stop working against yourself. But you don't, like, the more you go that road, the more you realize how much you have done that in the past, how often you've done things in order to pretend you're somebody that you're not. Thinking like, okay, but I don't want to be like society wants of me, but still like there were some kind of expectations that made you feel I can't really show up as my true self because people are going to think I'm crazy, or like I can't live like this. But in the end, that's the only truth. Like the only reason why we're not doing this is because we on some level feel like that's not lovable, or that's not cool, or that's not acceptable. I used to be like this, and once I broke out, my life changed like I would have never imagined. Okay, so this is something that I will advocate forever, because I know it's true, and I know that you're the only one who can make that shift. And the way I'm doing this, it helps you to break open those barriers and to help you transition into that phase, because this is not going to be my epic life. This is your epic life. You're the one who knows what it is. And you might not be completely aware of it. You might not know that preference 100% now. Some of us don't even know what it is exactly, but you know that what you're doing right now is not that. Like something is missing. And if you feel that, then you already have that in you, what you're supposed to live out. We just got to uncover it. And by by working on the preferences, like setting the goals that, on some level, even if you don't know in the beginning exactly what you want, you know what you don't want. So there's still like a thing saying, well, I rather want to be here than I want to be there. And so with every time you're able to move in that direction and do it in a way where it becomes part of your identity, so it's not a task that you say, oh God, I just have to do like 2 more and then it's done. It's like similar to diets. Diets, like at some point, if you do a diet and you say, okay, I need to like reach that goal, and then you let yourself go again, because it was a restriction. It was like based on willpower. It was not part of who you are. We want to change your lifestyle, the way you see life, the way you see everything. And with food, it's the same way. If you become somebody who's like having a different lifestyle, then you don't feel like you're making any compromises, right? And it just happens gradually. So specifically for us INFJs, it's very, very important to do that in a gradual way. So this just becomes who you are, and you don't ever feel like you have to restrict yourself. Because I think I had a video on this. I don't remember. It was one of my SE videos of how important that really is for us. Okay. Okay, Ellen, what were the 5 qualifiers for goals again? Okay, so SMART goals. Remember, like SMART. That's how you can remember them. Specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and time bound. So it would be to say, I want to write 10 pages of my book by the end of April. I think that's it. Like that would be like, is it specific? Yes, because you're not saying I want to write something. That's not specific. it really is specific to say, I want to write 10 pages for my upcoming book. That is specific. Is it measurable? Yes. After though, in the end of April, you could, if you wanted to, go to somebody and say, look, okay, here are those 10 pages. So it's measurable. It's not something in your mind like, I love more. Like that's not measurable. That's why it's so hard. Or I want to be happier. Not measurable. Okay, applicable means that you can really like do it. Like it's really something that is within reason. It's applicable. It's something that makes sense. I don't know what would be an example for something that's not applicable. Like saying I want to be somebody. Like saying I want to meet 10 politicians in the next day or something, like, and you're stuck at home. Like that's not really applicable. Like how are you supposed to do that, right? So the next one is realistic, which is very similar to that. So if you've never written anything in your life and you say, now I'm going to write those 10 pages today, it's not really realistic. You're setting yourself up for failure. Like some people say, oh, aim for the stars and you're gonna and like aim for the moon, and if you miss it, you're gonna still land at the stars. Yes and no. It's no as in, if you like, we aim for success stories. Like I always say, we aim for success stories, baby. That's what we do. Like, so I want to start small and I want to see that happen. So if I wasn't able, like if I tell myself I want to write on my book over and over again, and like if I look at the last months and I was never able to write anything, then why would you think it's realistic to be able to do 10 pages in a week? It is not, because this is not a matter of, is it theoretically possible? Yes, it's theoretically possible, but that doesn't make it realistic. Realistic is the fact that you said, okay, I wasn't able to do anything. What would be realistic? Well, it would be that I sit down today and I write 5 minutes. That is realistic. And you might think, oh, that's not enough. Well, then let's try that first day of 5 minutes. And if you're able to do the second day 5 minutes, then we can talk about maybe writing 10 minutes the next day. And then we keep on going, because that way you have success stories every single day. You create, like, you get positively addicted and your mind gives you the feedback of, cool, you got it. That's how we build self-confidence. Self-confidence is built, and I want you to like remember this, like just engrave it somewhere. Self-confidence is built by the promises we keep to ourselves. So if you keep saying, I want to write on the book, or I want to apply for that job, and you don't do it, it hurts our soul, because you say like, I'm actually accountable to somebody else. If I say I'm going to call that person, I call that person. But if I tell myself, okay, you're going to stand up for yourself and do something for yourself, and you don't do it, like that hurts us. And it's superhuman. Like accountability is a huge, like, it helps a lot. It helps a lot. Like that's why, Harvard studies have shown like how much more you're likely to reach your goal if you have an accountability partner or groups or stuff like this, like we have in the bootcamp, for example. But it does it, like that's a help, right? In order to be accountable to yourself, you have to set those small goals and you have to stick to them. So you get so positively addicted to being proud of yourself because you made it. And I'm able to be happy and proud that I write for 5 minutes. When I started doing like my channel, it was so hard for me emotionally to start doing something for myself. I was celebrating myself for washing my hair in the morning and doing my makeup. Like I dreaded it so much. It wasn't that hard if I was doing it on a Monday morning going to work, but doing it for a project of mine, like I had to build that muscle up. So I was like, with every single step I took in the morning, I was like, yeah, you got it. You made it. I'm so proud of you. And I really started manipulating myself with this. So that's what realistic is about. So smart, specific, measurable, applicable, realistic, and then time bound. So saying like, I want to write 10 pages from my book. Until when? Is it this week? Is it the end of the year? You need to know by when, because otherwise you can always say, okay, I'll do it tomorrow, right? So those are those things. Yeah, William says, amazed at what you can create. We all can. Like, I think a lot of you believe like, oh, but like it's normal that I can do it because like I have the strength to do the YouTube channel and I've done like so much. I was considered like a lazy person and not just by people who were so productive. Like my friends said I was lazy. I was barely doing anything. I was staying on the couch. And till this day, I'm not somebody who works all the time. I've never been this way. And I don't think it's necessary at all in order to create your dreams. It's not about doing all the things. It's about doing the right things. So you have to figure out what they are by building your muscles, by doing the steps like, setting the goals and the 5 pillars, for example. If you haven't downloaded the free poster, you can do that. It will help you because these things help you to just like on a very high level, figure out like, what do I already know that I want? You might not know a lot, but a couple of things you know. And once you know then those things, it kind of like opens up the next door. And so every single day, I know more of where I want to go and I write down my goals and like I make this happen. So like we have to, like once we get into the system and you know what the right steps are, you don't need to do so much. Most people are busy. That doesn't make them productive, right? Because like they feel like they have to do everything. And, there's so many like beliefs that we have in order to show up a certain way. But the only thing that matters is your life going in a direction where you want it to be, to live the life that you want? I don't want to be working 60 hours a week. I want to create like a life where to make people feel better about themselves, make them feel excited about themselves, have a life where I can, provide for me and my family. So that's what I'm creating, right? Because that's what I want, but that's mine and you have yours. And we want to open it up, have an accountability for moving forward and making these things happen, and to manipulate ourselves to get excited about that ourselves. Gil, like you said, like something. Oh, I missed so much. Gosh, guys, you send so many. Yeah, again, like you send so many messages, and I missed like all of them. I'm so sorry. Gil says like postponing doing taxes. I don't know what that was about. Yeah, of course, like postponing taxes, like don't. Like if you get it done so it's not in your way. Okay, Bram says, I want to travel before I settle. Right now, I would fulfill this vision by traveling by myself. I'm 22 living at home and this ain't normal by parents' expectation. What is your perspective? Doesn't matter what people want. Like when I was 22, I was 21, I went to Bali for half a year. So like you're an adult, like we learn more and more that this is your life. Like that's the whole thing. Like there are certain things our parents want and it's not easy to step out of it, but in the end they do with their life what they find important, and you do what with your life what is important to you. But here comes the twist. Don't stay and wait and like think in your mind over and over again, yeah, my parents don't want me to do this, but I want, but then like 3 years pass and nothing's happened. Book that ticket. Like find that job that will finance it for you. Work for 3 months, then book those hotel tickets, go and do backpack traveling. Just do it. And since just do it. It's like hard for INFJs. That's why we do things like, what is the first step you could do? It could be to figure out what are the steps I would need to do? What kind of budget would I need? Where would I go? How would the itinerary look like? Do the small steps to make you move forward, but there has to be action steps that somebody, like if you're not sure, specifically for INFJ, sometimes it's hard to figure out what is just an idea and what is really like an action step. It has to be something that somebody else could see. So if you say, okay, I'm learning something, not really. Like how can people like figure out if you learn something, or I spend time researching things? You thinking about your where you want to travel to isn't really something that could be externally seen, and it's not about other people. I'm just saying use that as like a tool, something that can help you. What would be like real things is to say, okay, I need, let's say, $5,000. I would want to make those $5,000 in 3 months. What kind of job could I take now that would make that happen for me? I apply for that job. Having that job, that's like an applicable that like people could see. Booking tickets is something that people could see. Like those are like real world actions, and they help you because guess what's going to happen once you go traveling? because you know this is what I already know. And this is not just like for 22-year-olds, it's for all of us. If you take that one step that you already know you want, because like sometimes, like some things we do know, you take that once you go on vacation, like not on like let's say backpacking, you will know even more. Like that opens up because it's like, okay, there's this one, I feel closer to who I wanted to be. I wanted to experience this. My soul yearned for this. This was an inspired action. Every single time we take inspired actions, after that, our mind opens up to the next possibility. It's like we reach another level. And this is like something I can tell you from experience. Is something I hopefully you've experienced before and you will experience again. Every single time you make that happen, you like your growth muscle, goes to the next level. Because what happens? You have an NI vision. You make that a reality. When you make it a reality, you have new information coming into your mind. So when you're, let's say, in Vietnam, like I was like 2 years ago, you're in Vietnam and everything is so beautiful and it gives you such a peace, or you're in Cambodia or whatever, it's like in Angkor Wat, and you're there and it gives you such a serenity. It's like new stimulation that gets into your mind. It's a new way of reality of how life could be, because you feel a different way once you're there. So once you have those information coming into your mind, you feed your NI with new information, and that in itself gives you the opportunity to create new realities and new visions that you would have never been able to if you wouldn't have taken this step. So don't think like, okay, I have like all of these ideas and the only thing that matters is those ideas. If you don't take the SE step, you won't be able to feed your mind with new information that will create the new thing. And that's what gets us excited. If we keep on doing the same thing over and over again, we don't feed our NI with anything new. And that's how we get into the NITI loop, because we still want to use it. So what do? We go more into detail. We try to understand it even better, when in the end, it's just about time that you just feed it with more information, and information that is good for you, that gets you closer to like even a higher vision of yourself. And I just said, you look great today. Thank you. I hope you're having an amazing day. Yes, I'm doing really good. Okay, Gab says, hello from France. There are days which are ideal days, high energy and productive, but the next day is so bad I feel empty even if I went to bed motivated. How can we fix it? 2 steps. Number 1, don't beat yourself up over this. I have this too. Like, I know this is part of like INFJ life, and I don't stress it. I know if on a couple of days I went a little bit overboard because I was so excited, I probably won't have that much energy the next day. And I just ride it out. Like, that's the first thing. Don't feel guilty about it. And it doesn't mean that it won't, like, it gets you off course. It's just like, I take a day off, right? And the second thing is to like maybe minimize it. Like to say, like, what is something that I can do on a consistent basis? So, how William said before, okay, I have like those small goals that like then urgently I have to do. Those things very often like pull us down. But if we have like things that are like sort of low key, but we do them consistently, we do them every single week. Once a week is enough. Like, if you would believe this, if you, let's say, work out twice a week for 30 minutes and you would do it for 10 years, you would be in such a great shape. Like, and it's like, you don't need to do like all that much. But yesterday I recorded a video. I had the workshop. I had 2 one-on-one coaching sessions. And I was like doing things for the bootcamp lounge. Actually a great day, but today I was exhausted, and I wouldn't have known this before. So things like this happen, and like I learn from it. I kind of like, normally I try to like spread things out a little bit more so I don't get in this situation. I don't expect myself to be like a high functioning like workaholic. It's not necessary to have success in life. And when I say like, you can be wealthy, you can create abundance, you can inspire people, you can do amazing things, and doing it on your own terms. It doesn't have to be like that big of a thing, right? So I see, even I wasn't aware when the day started, oh, okay, that's going to be a lot. I kind of like felt it, but like during the day I was like, oh, pumped. But then today I felt it like that it was different. So just don't even see it as something that has to be fixed. Just make like more consistent, smaller goals. And if it happens, it's okay. You just take a break the next day and you get back on track the day after that. Okay. Abdulaziz asked, how do you heal shame for INFJs? Maybe I should do a video on that. It has a lot to do with forgiveness, and it has a lot to do with taking steps that don't put you in that shameful situations again and again. Because most of the time we keep on, like, I used to put myself always in situations that make me feel ashamed, and I wasn't aware that I was doing it and why I was doing it. So yeah, I'll have to do a video on that. It's not that easily explained. Um, we have to analyze where it's coming from. Like, what is the first time you felt that? Why you keep continuing doing the stories? Like, you do forgiveness work. EFT tapping is something, like, I don't know if, like, Linda is here. Linda was also part of the bootcamp. She is also a huge fan of EFT. Like, you can look it up, which helps us in our mind to, like, it's sort of like you tap on certain areas of your body and of your face, and it helps you to minimize the stress factor in your mind when you think of certain things, and that helps you to create a new narrative, because shame in a lot of ways is something that we continuously keep on doing. Yeah, Gil says overdoing SE will be mentally and physically exhausting. Exactly. I don't ever want to be any, like, I know who I am. I know how much I can do. Like, why? Let's not pretend we're like some, like, ESTP person who does these things. Not necessary. Like, you just do you, and, like, know that this is your pace. Like, when I started doing this, and this has a lot to do with the exponential learning curve as well. It just like, we just need that time. Like, now, as I said, now my business looks great. Now it makes like more money than my job ever did before. And people are like, wow, you did it. Nobody said that the first years. There are people who like ran by and were so much more like obviously successful. And it's like, okay, that's their path. Doesn't matter. I felt good the first day I did something, because it's not the result that makes you feel good. What makes you feel good is the fact that you feel that you're growing in the direction you want to, right? You become more of that person you want to. And so it's not about like doing so much of SE, and it's not about doing the kind of amount of SE that other people want from you, because you already know you're not going to do that. Your strength comes from that amazing vision that you have. And if you apply it correctly and you start doing the goals thing, and you go back in detail on that, and then you put those small steps onto there, those consistent steps, you will move mountains. Like, you will be ahead of the game so far, it's ridiculous. Okay, so don't feel like you need to like do so much SE. Here, like William says, Gabby, I agree. I had a lot of energy. How to maintain it is hard. So, okay, hi Vanetta. My mom is here. So yeah, I'm always happy when my mom's here. But so, yeah, let me get. See, I got a little bit distracted. The energy comes from not doing too much. Don't feel like I have to be all pumped up and stuff like this. Keep us like low. Let's just go with the flow. Your energy will come from being like away from things that pull you down, which is people, circumstances, and most of all, the reality you create. The thing that makes us exhausted when we wake up is the reality we have created for ourselves. So the more you take those steps and you get closer to where you want to be, you know what happens? It just kind of like everything gets easier. This is what happens, right? Let's say we don't have that much, as I said, physical energy, and then we are carrying like 5 to 10 buckets of heavy water. So that is, of course, hard. But what we can do is we let go of those buckets. So it doesn't matter that we're not that strong as like somebody else. We don't have anything to carry. So that way you're just like floating through life. You get where you want to be. You're in the flow. That's why when people are like super successful in their realm, like they want to do. And so I'm saying this like deliberately. Stop saying, oh, like success is like this thing. What you find is successful. I had it in my ebook the first time. I said, if you want to be a shepherd, this is like what you wanted to do, then making like 6 figures on Wall Street is failure. That's failure, because what you really want is to be a shepherd and to have a minimalistic life. So that's where we want to go. So we don't need, like, if you feel like exhausted from life, then it's about like it's time that we change that life. It's time about to take like those small steps in order to create something that just like feels empowering, that makes you feel like you're flowing through life and you still want to grow. There's still this excitement for growth. Um, okay. Okay. And INFJ Vision said, I always go so hard on a new job or project. I go too hard, then I make my standards so high and I can't keep up. Then I fail. But this always feels natural to me and people expect me to keep it up. Yeah. I want to think like, and I use that as like I use this actually as a tactic. Like in order for me to get rid of like those external expectations, because that's the whole thing. Those expectations are in your mind. It can be that they expect that, but the only reason why you are aware of that is because it also is something that you believe in. So let's say I would be in a room. Let's say I'm working, and then there are people who say like, okay, or who think she should be working more. She's like too slow. Okay, if I believe that, then I'm super aware that they're thinking that. What I'm not aware of is Jennifer over there who thinks I should be blonde, who thinks I should work out more, who thinks I should dress differently. I don't care about that. So I don't even care that she thinks that. I'm completely oblivious to that. So just because they think that, the reason why you're aware of it is because you believe it on some level. And we want to get rid of this because I was in these situations and I was at work. And if I would have really thought about it, I'm sure people might have thought, like, oh, okay, there are those expectations. But most of the time, people just care about themselves. They're focused on themselves. But even if they would think, oh, she's so slow, or so what? Let them think that. Like my strength comes from something else. So if you already know you go so hard on a new project or job, why? Just stop it. That's like the first thing you can do right away. You want to change something, start with that. Because your ego thinks you have to do that. Let that down. Like be a failure in that regard. Like why do that? Like where's this coming from? And then you just and you say, I'm just gonna do my thing. And if you imagine like the worst case scenario, how they think you're a total loser and you're totally slow and you're not capable, and you're okay with that, like you start accepting that thought and it doesn't bother you so much. That's also something where you can do EFT on. But my tactic is just go full throttle. Like we're INFJs, we're mentally tough. So let's mentally like imagine how they think that about us, and I can take it. I can take it because that gives me the freedom to not even care about it. And I go then on my own pace. Yeah, Sierra says, I spend my life in cycles of overwhelm and productivity. Yes, we don't want that anymore. We want to have steady progress in a direction that we want, and we're gonna like where none of this is happening, right? And that's why I have 4 workshops, because we will go into, okay, let's talk about some of the pillars. Let's talk about how that's going to help you. When you set those goals, you don't go in overwhelm, you don't go in like over productivity, because you have realistic goals. You raise those goals up, but they're there. And if you have, let's say, boot camp or something like this, you have accountability, right? I want to talk with you a little bit more about like accountability in the atmosphere. So I'll just like take like one more question. Linda says, sometimes my most rewarding times when I sit down and do things, even if the emotion isn't there. More often than not, the feeling happens, but even if they don't come, I respect myself better. Yes, like we want to be proud of ourselves, right? We want to be proud of ourselves, and it's not about like doing something that we think society wants of us or anything like this. Guys, I'm really sorry that I can't get to all of your questions. Maybe like, I don't know, like maybe like we could have like next time, maybe somebody, if you can see if we have like something like super chat where you say, okay, I donate something, and then like your question will pop up a little bit more. Okay, just like one more, like I see here something Danielle says, what can we do if we need to be with people 24/7 and don't have enough time to be alone and recharge? I need a lot of alone time. And if it's not possible, I feel drained and like burned out. Okay, also, what can we do about it? Like why are you with people 24/7? What is your living situation right now? What would have to happen so you would be able to have an apartment where you live by yourself? Like, have you written this down? Like, that's why the 5 pillars is so good, because it can be so overwhelming to think about, oh God, there's so much going on. How do I know what I want? But if you go step by step and you say, okay, where do I want to be? Like, what of those, let's say this is how we do, like in the first week, we talk about physical energy management. We focus on one thing. What do you want to improve there? Is it your sleep? Is it your meditation? Is it like, and the same thing with your relationships. Like, I know how hard it is to have that a lot, like to create those boundaries when you have people all around you. And in that situation, it's not just about, like, you can say right now, my short-term goal is to find ways where I can set those boundaries. But of course, it's going to be that much easier when you don't have to like have that external energy on you. Like, of course, it's that much easier for me to now live on my terms than how I was when I was at work and I was surrounded by people who have completely different beliefs. No matter how strong my boundaries are, I still needed energy to put those boundaries up. Now that I'm in my world, I don't need to do that. So I can use that energy for myself. So, like that's the whole overwhelm. You can change that life. You just gotta like define what that means. How could I live by myself, or maybe with just one roommate? How much would that cost? What kind of job would generate that for me? How long would it take me to work at this kind of job in order to make that happen? If you don't know those numbers, if you don't know how many months that's going to take, if you don't set that, then it's going to feel like so overwhelming. It's like, I hated, like, I didn't hate my job, but like I was at my old job, and like, and a lot of people say, I hate my job. I want to do something different, but I don't know where to start. Okay, let's take it a step further. What would be the alternative? What would be the thing that you want? Well, I would want to have my own business. Well, what would you want to do? Like, it doesn't matter. I just don't want to do that. Okay. Like, whatever okay, how much money would you need on a monthly basis in order to be able to finance yourself with the current lifestyle that you have? Or you said, if I would minimize my lifestyle. How many of you who have said this have actually written this number down and then figured out, okay, what ways are there to generate this kind of amount so I don't have to do this? The reason why we are in that situation, like that we get overwhelmed, is because emotionally we feel like we can't leave. We have responsibilities and all of this. But if you make it like rational, okay, what are the numbers? What are the goals? Let's like write it down. Then you see it's not that far-fetched. Like it feels like now it feels like, okay, so I'm my own boss. I have my own business. I do my own thing. Great. Feels like normal. But back then, when I was in the corporate world, it felt like this is like another sphere. It's like you would step out of life. That's how it felt like. So in order to do that, I had to like remove those emotions altogether by saying things like, okay, if like, try not to think of any emotions. What really would be the steps? And this is how I said, how much money like would I need a month? How much like do I need to, like, how long of a time do I have as a security? Even if I wouldn't make any money with my business, I could survive during that time before I would have to look for another job. So I had a backup. And then like it was step by step. And then I said, okay, thinking about like quitting my job is just, it's unbelievably like challenging, because they would say like I say goodbye to my entire education, sort of, because I have a master's in economics. I worked in banking for 7 years. I was a consultant. I was like, in this top tier world. And what I did was I wrote my resignation letter, and I wrote and I printed it out a month before I handed it in. And I was shaking. I was shaking while I was printing it out, knowing that I'm not going to send it out for another month. But that is like step by step how I took out the emotion out of it. I opened it, I, gave it the date of in a month, I signed it, I put it in an envelope and I closed it, and I didn't touch it for like a month. So, but the next time I took it, it wasn't that emotionally charged. So it's about like taking those steps and making it like realistic. What is like real world action. You remember, people should be able to see it from the outside. Not that it matters about the other people, but it helps you to understand what's the difference between just planning something or learning something or actually applying it. Okay. So the last thing I want to talk to you about today is accountability and atmosphere. So we as INFJs, we absorb so much from our environment, so much. That's why we have to work on our boundaries extra hard. That's why we have to, um, like it's a two-sided sword, I think you say. On the one hand, if you're in like this negative, like if you're in a negative environment or people are judgmental towards you, it has such an effect on us. Getting out of that is harder. But at the same time, if you surround yourself with people who are where you want to be emotionally, it charges you up like nothing else. So, like, there's this saying, and I love that: stay in the room. So that's why I created the Facebook group. Like, we have a Facebook group with the boot camp that is not only open when the boot camp is happening, but also in the time between. And we have every day, or like 5 times a week, we have threads on like, what did you do this week on physical energy management? What did you do on your relationships? And you see that we share of all the successes we are having, and therefore we pick each other up. So, like, if you decide to join the bootcamp or not, that does not mean that you can take advantage of this, right? You can be here and listen to the videos. You can stay in forums that are positive. There are groups everywhere. If you surround yourself with people that are already in that, like, in that uplifting, this is where we want to go, it affects you so much. And why not take advantage of that? Why make it hard on yourself? Why say, I have to do it by myself? Why not help yourself? And the same thing happens with accountability. Yes, you can do it by yourself, but it's faster if you get accountability. Like, I get courses. I have people that I'm accountable to. I have atmosphere that I join because it helps me to get into the mindset of like, this is where I want to go. And there are people who are already doing that. And, it's hard. Let's say you have an accountability partner. So, okay, you say, okay, I want to start working out and I'm with my friend, but we're both beginners and we're not very reliable, both of us. And this is not like the best accountability, right? You need somebody who, that person is going to work out no matter what. That's the person you need to go to. Like, you need to be with people and surround yourself with people that are already so like entrenched in like that lifestyle that is closer to where you want to be. So I do my videos twice a week. Like, no matter what, you see me do this like for years. So this will not stop. This will not stop. I'm here, I'm doing this. This has already become part of my of my personality and who I am. So that's why I can pull you up with me, right? Because I know I'm going that direction anyways. I'm not waiting for you if you're going to join me or not, because I'm going there. And those are the kind of people you need. And if you have people who are also going in that direction, like that, the group really makes like a huge difference. So, as I said, I'd love for you to join the bootcamp. It's really amazing. But if you don't, still find people that you can be accountable to, because that will help you a lot. I wanted to read to you one thing Matthias wrote, just because like I love that there was a lot with accountability, just so you have an idea of what a group like this can do for you, right? So he said, I love the bootcamp, took so many insights and encouragement from it, was specifically thrilled about 3 things. First, we didn't only scratch on the surface, but instead went for really deep, lasting change. So meaning by trying to establish some beneficial behavioral patterns that really help in getting more control over your life. Second, the chance to ask direct questions in the live sessions and being able to share your own progress in them as well. Yeah, so just so you know, it's different than here, okay? We're a smaller group, at least for now, at least for now. So every single question gets answered, right? Every single question. And if it would take longer, I would stay longer. We cannot do that here. And we talk about each of the pillars, right? We go through that, we understand that. And then like the last one, being held accountable to the goals we set for ourselves in the process, but always in a good, supportive, and motivating way. Can't recommend it highly enough, Matthias. And so, or Melinda says you something just quickly. She was saying about like she did the masterclass first and it was kind of hard for her, but then once she did the boot camp, it was like a different thing because we're doing it together. You know how to approach it. There's like a different atmosphere. Pacing through the lessons with the group, hearing your expositions, the weekly assignments, hearing your answers to everyone's questions and feedback was just what I needed. It all makes so much more sense. I'm glad you will be repeating bootcamp. Thank you again, Melinda. So I just like for me, once I did the first boot camp, I knew I had to repeat this because it made me feel so good to see the benefits of the group environment, right? So find those groups. As I said, if you say I'm not ready or willing, like boot camp, I'm not there yet, you know your pace, you know where you're at and what you want to do, but then find a group, like get that motivation. Don't make it as hard on yourself as it has to be. You don't have to do everything by yourself. Like the people who work with me one-on-one, like the biggest thing that they gain from this is that they kind of like skip years. It took me years to get there, and then I just teach them because I see like, okay, this is where they're at right now, and I talk to them on a level as if we would get like level-headed, and that pulls them up. So you gain by surrounding yourself with people, like it just makes everything so much easier. Like you'll read this over and over again. I think if you haven't done it, it's hard to understand to surround yourself with people who are there where you want to be. And I'm not just talking about me. It's also the peers. It's also being around people who you see, okay, they're probably at a level where I am, where it's like a lot of self-doubt about fighting for myself, but they're doing it. Like I see them. They said they were going to do this last week and now they're here and they're doing this. And I personally, I'm in groups that help me in my business, right? That motivate me there. So I'm not just preaching what I'm not doing. Like I see the benefit in it so much. Okay, so these were the things I wanted to talk to you about. We will talk next time. We will go into the pillars, so you can directly take something from this. So I'm not trying to keep things from you. Of course, in the bootcamp, there's a lot of material that we cover. It goes into that much more, but that doesn't mean that I won't be talking about the pillars. But that's why we have 4 sessions. I wanted to give you all the information, and I think that was very important. As I said, I'm sorry I couldn't answer all your questions. It's just like a little bit too much. But well, okay, yeah, sorry. Like I try to like pick something up. Like I can't even like read everything. Like yeah. I lost a little bit where I was at and who I missed. So please excuse me for that. Okay, that's it for today. I wish you a wonderful week. Fight for yourself, guys, and fight in a way where you don't feel like how Sierra said it before, like overwhelm and productivity. Like, no, it's more about this is where I want to go. This is where I want to be. It's my way or the highway. And when I say my way, I don't mean my way. I mean your way. It's your way or your way or the highway. It's your epic life. This is your life, guys. There can never be anything above what you want for your life. And I'm so going to push this. I don't make anybody feel bad, but I believe in it so much. And I want to be as much of help to anybody who wants that and who wants that encouragement and that motivation. And I make it a point that at the end, I don't want you to need me. I want you to be as self-sufficient in the motivational process as possible. And of course, it's not like going to happen from one day to the other, but that's my goal. Like it goes in that direction. You feel like, oh, okay, I'm more excited about, like there was like so many people in the bootcamp, the first bootcamp that I've also worked with one-on-one before. And like it just makes me feel so good to see that they say, oh, you'll be so proud of me now. Like I'm working out all the time and I wrote applications for this kind of jobs that I wanted. And I'm also already planning of moving to that place. And I'm writing on my blog and, like it just comes to life. And that's what makes me feel so good. Okay. Thanks. Like Michael says, thanks for making your videos. Like I'm glad I can help you. As I said, I wish you a wonderful day. Enjoy the weekend. And then I have video out tomorrow. What is it about? What is it about? Yeah, because like I kind of record them like a week beforehand. I think tomorrow is about I don't remember. Yeah, you'll see. It's a good one. It's a good one. Tomorrow we have another video out, but like the next workshops are again Friday and Saturday. So Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week. Yeah, Melinda says, yes, very glad I did boot camp. Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for letting me use the testimonials. Okay. Sierra said, you're tired now. Yes, I am. I am. Like this kind of thing, of course, drains me a little bit, but that's my main goal for today. It was so worth it. Like that's where I want to put my energy in. Okay, guys, have a great day. I talk to you soon. Bye.